Okay guys, tonight's lesson 10, the objective is going to be subtracting decimals using place value strategies and relate those strategies to a written method. First one on our problem set, we're going to subtract writing the difference in standard form. You may use a place value chart to solve. First one, 5/10 minus 2/10 is going to be 3/10, which equals decimal point 3 in standard form. If we have 5 ones and 9 thousandths, and we're going to subtract 2 ones, if we have 5 ones and take 2 ones away, that's going to leave us with 3 ones and still 9 thousandths, which would be 3 decimal point 0.9. Next one we have is 7/100 8/100 minus 4/100. So we have 7/100. If we have 8/100 and we take 4/100 away, that's going to be a 4 in the hundredths place. So 7/100 and 4/100. Last one we have 37 thousandths minus 16 thousandths. That's going to give us, if we subtracted 21 thousandths, remember we've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths, so 21, put a 0 in there. Next one, we're going to subtract 1 4/10 minus 7/10. Line up your decimal points and subtract. We cannot take 4, borrow from that 1, becomes a 0. Make that a 14, take away 7 is 7. Decimal point comes down, put it on the line, 7/10. Next one, we've got 91 and 49/100, and we're going to take away 7/10. Don't forget to add a 0 in there. Subtract 9 minus 0 is 9. Need to borrow. That becomes a 14. Take away 7 is 7. 0 minus 0 is 0. 9 minus nothing is 9. Decimal point comes down. 90. Decimal point 7/9. Next one, we have 191 and 49/100, lining it up, 10 and 72/100. Subtract 9 minus 2 is 7. We need to borrow, make that into a 14. 14 take away 7 is 7. 0 minus 0 is 0. 9 minus 1 is 8. 1 minus nothing is 1. Bring our decimal point down. We're going to have 180 decimal point 77. On the letters D, E, and F, 7 and 148 thousandths minus, did not line that up quite good enough for me, 7/100. Don't forget to add a 0. 8, borrow 10, makes that into 14, gives me a 7. 0, 7, have your decimal point. So 7.078. Next one, we've got 60 and 91/100. We're going to subtract 2.856. Got to put a 0 in up here so that we can subtract. Borrow, that becomes a 0. We borrow 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 becomes an 8. Borrow 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 8 is 0. Borrow from the 6. Borrow 10. That gives us 8. 5. Decimal point. So we have 58 decimal point 0.5 4. Letter F, 361 and 31 hundredths minus 2 841 thousandths. Add a 0. We are subtracting. Borrow, that becomes a 10, makes that a 9. Borrow, that becomes a 10, that is 6. Borrow again, that becomes a 12, which gives me 4. Borrow again, that gives me 8, a 5, and a 3. Decimal point stays in the same place. Like so. Okay, number 3. If we have 10 tens minus 1 10 and 1 tenth. If I have 10 tens and I take 1 10 away, that gives me 9 tens, and it still is 1 tenth. 9 tens would give me 90. 1 tenth would look like that. 3 minus 22 tenths. 3 can also be written as 30 tenths minus 22 tenths is going to leave me with 8 tenths, or decimal point 8. 37 tenths. If I have a 1 in the ones place and a 2 in the tenths place, that's the same as 12 tenths. If I subtracted those, we'd have 25 tenths, which is also known as the decimal to decimal point 5. If I have 8 ones and 9 hundredths, I'd have an 8 in the ones place. So that would be 800 and like that. And then I would have 3 and 4 tenths. Add a 0, 9, borrow from the 8, 6, 4, bring your decimal point down. Next one, we have 5 and 622 thousandths minus 3 hundredths. Got to add a 0 in there to subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. Borrow from the 6. Make that a 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. 5. 5. 2 in the ones, 4 in the tenth, minus 59 hundredths. Add a 0. Borrow from the 4, make that a 3. 10 minus 9 is 1. Borrow from the 2, make that a 1 and a 13. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. 1 decimal point. Miss Van wrote 5 tenths minus 3 hundredths on the board. Michael said the answer is 2 tenths because 5 minus 3 is 2. Is he correct? Okay, 5 tenths minus 3 hundredths. Add a 0. Borrow, that becomes a 4. 10 minus 3 is 7. 4. Bring down your decimal point. Was he correct? No. He is incorrect. Five tenths minus 3 hundredths equals 47 hundredths. You cannot subtract things that are different. Tenths and hundredths are different there. Number 5, a pen costs $2.09. It costs 45 cents less than a marker. Ken paid for 1 pen and 1 marker. with a $5 bill. Use a tape diagram with calculations to determine his change. Okay, so here is a pen. A pen costs $2.09. It says it costs 45 less than a marker. That means a marker costs this same amount plus another 45 cents. If we add those together, we get 209, and then we get 45 cents. That's going to be 14, 5, and a 2. So that means that our marker cost us $2.54. Now we need to add the marker and the pen together. So 254 plus 209. 9 plus 4 is 13. 5 and 1 is 6. 2 and 2 is 4. So we have 463. We want to know how much money from a $5 bill. So if I have $5 and I spend $4.63, the way that we do this is as follows. Need to borrow. This becomes a 10. Then I need to borrow again, make it a 9, and this becomes a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 6 is 3. Means he's left with 37 cents change. And that is it for tonight. Have a great evening.